The alien commander had seen human weapons before. He had seen missiles split moons. He had watched human warships burn through armored cruisers. He had even survived a human boarding party that fought for 11 minutes after losing communications with their fleet. But he had never seen a human become terrified because someone touched a lunchbox. Commander Vael noticed it immediately. The human scientist stopped walking. "1 second, Doctor." Voss was arguing with a security officer. The next, she was completely still. Her eyes were fixed on the small metal container sitting on a table inside the examination chamber. It looked ridiculous. A dull silver rectangle with 2 worn clips and a faded blue sticker on the lid. Nothing about it suggested danger. Vael slowly turned toward it. "What is that?" Mara did not answer. The security officer reached for the container. "Doctor?" "Don't." Her voice was quiet. The officer froze. Vael's 4 eyes narrowed. "You said there were no weapons in the shipment." "There aren't." "Then why are you frightened?" Mara looked at him. "I am not frightened." "You stopped breathing." "I was thinking." "You were thinking very loudly." The officer glanced at Vael, unsure whether that was a joke. Vael did not smile. He pointed toward the container. "Open it." Mara's expression changed. "No." That single word made the room silent. Vael had commanded fleets. He had ordered planets quarantined. He had personally authorized the destruction of 3 human listening stations. Nobody had ever simply told him no. "Dr. Voss," he said carefully, "you are aboard an Imperial vessel surrounded by armed guards." "I know." "You are a prisoner." "I know that too." "Then you will explain why I should not open a metal box containing what appears to be food." Mara stared at the lunchbox. "Because it isn't food." Vael leaned closer. "Then what is it?" Mara hesitated. "History." That answer made Vael laugh. It was a strange sound, deep and clicking. "History?" "Yes." "You expect me to believe humanity hides its history inside lunch containers?" "Not usually." "Then why this one?" Mara looked at the faded blue sticker. Because of that sticker, she thought. She remembered being 7 years old. She remembered her mother's kitchen. She remembered waking before sunrise and watching her mother prepare rice, vegetables, eggs, and a small piece of chicken. Her mother had packed everything into the same silver lunchbox. Then she had placed a handwritten note beneath the food. "Eat everything." Someone worked hard to make this. Mara had never understood the importance of those words until much later. He looked back at Vael. "Where did you get it?" Vael gestured toward the evidence table. "Your archaeological team recovered it from the ruins of Sector 12. Mara's face went pale. "Sector 12 was destroyed 12,000 years ago." "Correct." "There shouldn't be anything left." "There wasn't." Vael stepped closer. "Except this." Mara swallowed. "What else did you find?" "Nothing." "Nothing?" "1 lunchbox." Vael smiled. "And that is why I called you." Mara looked around the chamber. 4 alien guards. 2 scientists. Commander Vael. And the lunchbox. Her heartbeat accelerated. They had found it. After 12,000 years, somebody had finally found one. She walked toward the table. "Commander, you need to understand something." "I am listening." "If you open that box, you cannot put anything back." Vael's eyes narrowed. "That sounds like a threat." "It isn't." "Then what is it?" Mara placed her hand on the lid. "A warning." Vael nodded toward the guard. The guard stepped forward. Mara moved between them. "Wait." "Doctor." "Please." The words sounded strange coming from her. Vael studied her. "You are asking me to trust you." "Yes." "I have no reason to." "You have one." "What?" Mara looked directly into his eyes. "I'm human." Vael stared at her. Then he laughed again. "You believe your species deserves trust because you are human?" "No." She slowly removed the lunchbox from the table. "I'm asking you to trust me because humans don't protect food unless it matters." Vael's amusement disappeared. "What does that mean?" Mara didn't answer. Instead, she opened the first clip. Click. Every scientist in the room stepped back. Vael's hand moved toward his weapon. Mara opened the second clip. Click. The lid lifted. Inside was something so ordinary that Vael almost felt insulted. A sandwich. 2 pieces of bread. A thin layer of meat. Some vegetables. A small packet of salt. And 1 apple. Vael stared. That is your dangerous secret? No. Mara carefully lifted the sandwich. Underneath it was a sheet of paper. Old. Yellow. Covered in handwriting. Vael leaned forward. What does it say? Mara read it silently. Then she closed her eyes. Vael's voice became sharper. Doctor. She opened her eyes. It says, if they find this, humanity failed. The room went silent. Vael reached for the paper. Mara pulled it away. There is more. She turned it over. 3 words were written on the back. Asterisk asterisk, do not feed them. Asterisk asterisk. Vael looked at the sandwich. Then at Mara. Feed who? Mara's face had lost all color. I don't know. You're lying. No. Then why does this frighten you? Mara looked toward the observation window. Outside, beyond the ship's armored hull, thousands of stars burned silently. We thought we destroyed them. Vael's expression hardened. Who? Mara whispered the answer. The first civilization. Vael stared at her. Every known civilization in the galaxy believed the first civilization had vanished naturally. There were no survivors. No confirmed remains. No surviving technology. No explanation. But humans had apparently known something. Vael pointed at the lunchbox. What does that food have to do with them? Mara looked down at the sandwich. Then she noticed something she had missed. A tiny symbol was pressed into the underside of the bread. A circle surrounded by 7 lines. Her mother's handwriting suddenly made sense. The lunchbox had never been a message to humanity. It had been a message asterisk asterisk for whatever found it. Asterisk asterisk. Mara stepped backward. Commander. What? We need to leave this room. Why? The ship's lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then every monitor in the chamber switched on simultaneously. A single message appeared across every screen. Asterisk asterisk, we smell human food. Asterisk asterisk. Vael slowly turned toward Mara. She stared at the lunchbox. And somewhere deep inside the ship, something knocked 3 times against the hull. Not from outside. From inside. Mara whispered. They found us. The first knock came from the corridor. 3 slow impacts against the metal wall. Knock. 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 Everyone in the laboratory froze. Commander Vael raised his weapon. Seal this room. The security officer moved toward the door. Mara grabbed his arm. No. He looked at her. Why? Because it isn't outside. Another knock sounded. This time from the ceiling. Knock. 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 Vael's 4 eyes moved upward. Then where is it? Mara looked at the lunchbox. I think it's inside the food. Vael stared at her. You expect me to believe something is hiding inside a sandwich? No. Then explain. I can't. The light suddenly brightened. Every monitor displayed the same symbol. A circle surrounded by 7 lines. The symbol beneath the sandwich. Dr. Lian Chen, the ship's chief xenobiologist, stepped toward the table. Mara, that symbol wasn't in our archaeological database. It shouldn't be. You recognize it. I recognize what it means. Lian looked at her. What does it mean? Mara whispered, hungry. Vael lowered his weapon slightly. Hungry? Not the way you mean it. Then explain it the way I need to understand it. Mara looked at the sandwich. When humans say we're hungry, we usually mean our bodies need energy. And this? This means something else. She carefully removed the sandwich from the lunchbox. The moment it touched the table, every light on the ship went dark. Emergency lighting came on. Red. Vael immediately pointed his weapon at Mara. Put it back. I can't. Why? Because I think it's already awake. A sound moved through the ship. Not a voice. Not an alarm. A vibration. The metal floor trembled beneath their feet. Lion looked at the sensors. Commander, I'm detecting biological activity. From the sandwich? No. She stared at the readings. From the walls. The guards backed away. Vael turned to Mara. You said humanity destroyed the first civilization. We thought we did. What were they? Mara hesitated. Not exactly a civilization. Vael's expression hardened. Then what? An ecosystem. Lion frowned. That makes no sense. It will. Mara pointed toward the lunchbox. Thousands of years ago, humanity discovered a species that could communicate through biological signals. They didn't build cities. They didn't use machines. They grew them. Vael listened carefully. They grew ships. Yes. Weapons. Yes. Buildings? Yes. Lion slowly understood. They weren't technological. No, Mara said. They were biological. The ship shook again. A ceiling panel cracked. Vael ordered the guards forward. Can we kill it? Mara looked at him. That's what caused the problem. What problem? We killed one. The room went silent. Mara continued. We thought the species was a single organism. We destroyed what we believed was its central intelligence. And? It wasn't a central intelligence. Vael's eyes narrowed. What was it? A seed. Lion stepped backward. You're saying the civilization we thought disappeared was scattered across the galaxy? Across space? Vael looked toward the stars. Then why did it disappear? Mara's expression became grim. Because it went dormant. Another vibration moved through the ship. This one was stronger. The sandwich began to move. Not physically. Something beneath the bread was glowing. A faint blue light spread through the lettuce. Lion whispered, That's impossible. Mara shook her head. No, it's worse. Vael stared at her. Why? Because the food isn't infected. Then what is happening? Mara looked at the apple. The food is a signal. Vael's weapon lowered. A signal? Humans discovered that the organism could not understand machines. Lion's eyes widened. But it could understand biology. Yes. So humans used food. Mara nodded. We needed a way to communicate with something that lived inside living matter. Vael looked genuinely confused. You fed it? No. Mara gave a nervous smile. We taught it how to eat. For the first time, nobody spoke. The ship's intercom suddenly activated. A voice came through. It was not alien. It was not human. It was a distorted mixture of both. Warm. Mara's face went white. The voice repeated. Warm. Vael stepped toward the communication console. Identify yourself. Silence. Then. Home. Lion looked at Mara. What does that mean? Mara whispered it remembers. Remembers what? Us. The ship shook violently. A section of the laboratory wall split open. Something pale and translucent pushed through. It looked like a root. Then another appeared. Then dozens. The guards opened fire. Blue energy struck the growing tendrils. They recoiled. For half a second, everyone thought the weapons had worked. Then the tendrils grew faster. Vael shouted, Stop firing! The guards stopped. The growth stopped too. Mara stared. That is why. Vael turned toward her. Why what? Why humanity stopped fighting them. The roots slowly withdrew. Mara took a breath. We discovered something. What? They don't attack aggression. Vael looked at the damage around them. They attacked us. No. Mara pointed at the weapons. They responded to the weapons. Lion suddenly understood. They react to threat. Mara nodded. They don't hunt. Then what do they do? They consume. Vael looked at the sandwich. Everything? No. Mara's eyes settled on the handwritten note. Only what is offered. Vael stared at her. And humans learned to offer food. Yes. Why? Because it was the only thing they wouldn't take by force. Another voice came through the intercom. This time it was clearer. Chair. Mara closed her eyes. She remembered her mother's kitchen again. The smell of warm bread. The sound of a lunchbox closing. A hand placing an apple beside a sandwich. Her mother's voice. You never eat alone if someone is hungry. Mara opened her eyes. We made a treaty with them. Vael stared. A treaty? Humanity gave them food. And what did they give humanity? Mara looked toward the stars. Protection. Vael laughed once. Protection from what? Mara didn't answer. Because the ship's main display suddenly changed. A map of the galaxy appeared. Then thousands of red points began blinking. Lion stepped closer. What are those? Mara recognized the pattern immediately. Her stomach dropped. Those aren't planets. What are they? Mara looked at Vael. They're sleeping colonies. The red points began moving. Not toward Earth. Toward them. Vael's voice became quiet. How many? Mara counted the signals. Her expression collapsed. 412. Chips. No. Then what? Mara looked down at the ordinary sandwich sitting inside the scratched lunchbox. Hungry things. The intercom crackled again. A whisper filled the room. War humans. Then the ship's sensors detected something approaching from deep space. Something enormous. Something alive. Mara slowly closed the lunchbox. Vael watched her. What are you doing? Trying to keep them asleep. How? She looked at him. With lunch. And for the first time since humanity entered the galactic community, Commander Vael understood why humans had never explained their oldest secret. They weren't hiding a weapon. They were hiding a promise. And someone had just broken it. The first human ship to receive the signal never had time to answer. It simply disappeared. One moment the exploration vessel Horizon was crossing the outer edge of the system. The next, every transmission stopped. Commander Vael watched the last fragment of its telemetry vanish from the tactical display. How long? Doctor, Lion Chen checked the sensor feed. 6 minutes. Since the ship disappeared? Since the signal changed. Vael looked at Mara. You knew this would happen. Mara shook her head. I knew something would happen. That is not good enough. No. He looked down at the lunchbox. But it is all we have. The ship trembled. Not from an impact. From movement. Something enormous was passing along the outside of the hull. The lights flickered. Then the ship's artificial gravity dropped for half a second. Everyone floated. Mara held the lunchbox against her chest. When gravity returned, she hit the floor hard. Vael caught himself against the table. Report. A technician stared at his console. Commander, the biological mass is spreading across the outer hull. How much? 3%. Vael looked at the number. Then the technician's expression changed. Now 7. Lion stepped closer. It's accelerating. Vael turned to Mara. Open the box. Mara stared at him. What? You said the food was a signal. It is. Then signal them. Mara hesitated. You don't understand. Then make me understand. If I open it, they will know we're here. Vael looked toward the ceiling. They already know. Mara's eyes closed. He was right. She placed the lunchbox on the table. Slowly she opened the clips. Click. Click. The moment the lid lifted, the biological growth outside the ship stopped. Every sensor went silent. Lion stared at her screen. They stopped. Mara nodded. They're listening. Vael looked inside. The sandwich. The apple. The small packet of salt. Nothing else. Now what? Mara picked up the sandwich. Now we remember the recipe. Vael frowned. The recipe? My mother taught it to me. This is not the time for cooking. It is exactly the time. Mara opened the sandwich. She removed the meat. Then the vegetables. Then she separated the 2 slices of bread. Vael watched in confusion. What are you doing? Changing the signal. Lion looked at the food scanner. Wait. She moved closer. The biological readings are changing. Mara placed the meat back onto the bread. Of course they are. You knew this would happen? My mother did. Vael stared at her. Your mother? Mara nodded. She was one of the last people who knew the original recipe. Recipe for what? Mara looked at him. Peace. The ship went completely silent. Then the intercom activated. A voice whispered through every speaker. Human. Mara froze. Yes. Why did you stop? Her breathing became shallow. Vael looked at her. Stop what? Mara answered without looking away from the speaker. Feeding them. The voice remained silent. Then. Hungry. Mara placed the sandwich on the table. You can't have all of it. Vael stared at her. You are negotiating with it? Yes. With food? Yes. The alien commander slowly lowered his weapon. This is absurd. Mara looked at him. So was the first war. The voice returned. Share. Mara pushed half the sandwich forward. The biological mass outside the ship moved. The walls began to glow. Lion's sensors exploded with readings. Commander. What? The organism is approaching. Vael reached for his weapon. Mara raised a hand. Don't. The door opened. A translucent tendril entered the room. Everyone backed away. It moved slowly toward the sandwich. Then stopped. Mara watched it. The tendril extended a thin filament. It touched the bread. Nothing happened. Then the filament changed color. The entire ship shook. Lion stared at her instruments. It is absorbing information. Vael looked at Mara. Information? Mara nodded. Food isn't just food to them. What is it? A memory. The tendril wrapped around the sandwich. For several seconds nothing happened. Then every screen in the room changed. Images appeared. Ancient Earth. Human cities. Children running through streets. Families eating together. Farmers working fields. People sharing meals. Then the images changed. Human soldiers. Fire. Dead cities. Ships burning in space. Mara turned away. Vael watched in silence. What am I seeing? The war. Against them? Yes. Your record said humanity won. Mara shook her head. We survived. That's different. Very. The screens changed again. A laboratory appeared. Thousands of years earlier. Humans stood around a massive biological structure. It looked like a tree made of glass. At its center was a pulsing sphere. Lion whispered, That's them. Mara nodded. The ancient recording showed humans placing food into a chamber. Then something unexpected happened. The biological structure stopped attacking. The humans stopped firing. They sat down. They ate together. Vael stared. You ended a war with a meal. Mara shook her head. No. She pointed at the screen. We discovered why the war started. The recording zoomed in. A scientist held a human hand over the organism. Words appeared. Asterisk asterisk, they don't understand ownership. Asterisk asterisk. Then another line appeared. Asterisk asterisk, they understand sharing. Asterisk asterisk. Vael's expression changed. What does that mean? Mara answered quietly. They never conquered civilizations. Then what did they do? They grew around them. Lion looked horrified. Like an ecosystem. Exactly. Mara pointed toward the lunchbox. They didn't understand borders. The biological organism on the screen spread across an entire city. Then stopped when humans offered food. Mara continued. They weren't invading us. They thought they were joining us. Vael stared at her. And humanity attacked them because they thought they were consuming Earth. Silence. The truth settled over the room. Humanity had mistaken connection for invasion. The first war had been a misunderstanding. But the next discovery was worse. The recording showed an ancient human scientist speaking directly to the camera. If you're watching this, you found the lunchbox. Mara stepped closer. The scientist continued. We learned the organism cannot distinguish between food and memory. Vael looked at Mara. What does that mean? It means every meal we share teaches them something about us. The recording continued. So we gave them our memories. Images flashed across the screen. Human childhoods. Human languages. Human music. Human kindness. Human grief. Human history. Mara whispered, we fed them humanity. The scientist's final message appeared. And they gave us something in return. The recording changed. A map of the galaxy appeared. Thousands of civilizations were highlighted. Then every one of them disappeared. Mara's face went pale. Vael stared at the display. Where did they go? They weren't destroyed. Then where? Mara looked toward the hull. They were protected. The voice returned through the speakers. But this time it sounded almost human. Home. The biological growth withdrew from the ship. Outside the observation window, the stars became visible again. Hundreds of enormous living structures emerged from hyperspace. Not attacking. Arriving. Vael stared at them. What are they doing? Mara looked down at the lunchbox. Coming home. Then the largest structure transmitted a message. Not to Vael. Not to the Empire. To Earth. A single sentence appeared across every screen. Asterisk asterisk, we remember what you fed us. Asterisk asterisk. Mara's eyes filled with tears. Because she finally understood what humanity's most dangerous secret really was. It wasn't that humans had discovered a species powerful enough to destroy the galaxy. It was that humanity had taught that species how to remember. And now the oldest living civilization in existence remembered everything humanity had ever done. The good. The bad. The unforgivable. Vael slowly turned toward Mara. Will they forgive us? Mara looked at the approaching living fleet. I don't know. The lunchbox suddenly clicked shut by itself. Then from inside it something whispered. Eat. Mara stared at the box. Vael stepped back. What was that? Mara didn't answer. Because the voice had sounded exactly like her mother's, and her mother had been dead for 20 years. Mara had not heard her mother's voice in 20 years. Yet the voice coming from the lunchbox was unmistakable. Eat. Mara stood frozen. Commander Vael looked from her to the metal box. What did it say? Mara could barely breathe. My mother. Vael's expression hardened. Your mother is aboard the ship? No. Then how did it know her voice? I don't know. The lunchbox clicked again. A thin line of blue light appeared around its edges. Then the ship's speakers came alive. Thousands of voices whispered at once. Human voices. Children. Parents. Soldiers. Scientists. People speaking languages from centuries apart. Lion covered her ears. What is happening? Mara stared at the lunchbox. They're remembering. The alien commander looked toward the massive living structures outside the viewport. Remembering what? Everything we gave them. The largest organism moved closer. Its surface shimmered like liquid glass. Then the transmission appeared. Not words. A memory. Mara saw her mother standing in their old kitchen. The same kitchen from 20 years ago. Her mother was packing the same lunchbox. A young Mara sat at the table. Mom? Her mother looked up. You're going to be late. The memory felt impossibly real. Mara stepped toward the image. You knew. Her mother smiled. I knew enough. Mara's eyes filled with tears. Knew what? That one day someone would find the lunchbox. The image changed. Mara's mother was older now. She stood in a laboratory surrounded by scientists. The biological organism covered the walls. Her mother placed the lunchbox on a table. Then she looked directly into the recording device. If you're seeing this, humanity has forgotten. Mara shook her head. Forgotten what? The recording answered. Why we made the promise. The image vanished. A new message appeared. Asterisk asterisk, they are not here to conquer. Asterisk asterisk. Vael stepped forward. Then why have they returned? Another line appeared. Asterisk asterisk, they are here to collect. Asterisk asterisk. The room went silent. Vael's hand moved toward his weapon. Mara stopped him. Don't. What are they collecting? Mara looked at the lunchbox. Us. Vael stared. That sounds like conquest. No. He opened the lunchbox. Inside, the sandwich had changed. The bread was covered in faint blue patterns. The apple glowed softly. The old handwritten note had disappeared. In its place was a single sentence. Asterisk asterisk, what did you save asterisk asterisk? Mara understood. They aren't asking what we destroyed. Lion stepped closer. They're asking what survived. Mara nodded. The first civilization stored its memories in living matter. Humanity accidentally became part of that memory. Vael looked toward the living fleet. So they remember every human who ever shared food with them. Yes. Every soldier? Yes. Every murderer? Yes. Every innocent? Yes. Vael's voice became quiet. And now they remember everything humanity did. Mara nodded. That is why I'm afraid. The ship suddenly filled with light. Every living structure outside began transmitting. Millions of memories flooded the displays. Human beings helping strangers. Doctors treating enemies. Children sharing meals. People giving away their last piece of bread. Then darker memories appeared. Wars. Massacres. Cities destroyed. Worlds abandoned. Mara watched humanity's entire history unfold. No excuses. No heroic editing. Nothing hidden. Vael stared at the images. Why show us this? Mara looked at him. Because they're making a decision. What decision? Whether humanity deserves to continue. Vael turned toward the viewport. Then we fight. Mara stepped in front of him. No. They are judging us. And we finally have the chance to answer. With what? Mara picked up the sandwich. With the same thing we used the first time. Vael looked at it. A meal? A choice. She broke the sandwich in half. Then she handed one piece to Vael. He stared at it. You want me to eat this? Yes. Why? Because the first rule was never about feeding them. What was it about? Mara smiled through her tears. Sharing. Vael looked at the sandwich. Then at the thousands of living structures outside. Slowly he took a bite. Nothing happened. Then every light on the ship turned white. The living fleet stopped moving. Mara took the other half and ate it. The voices disappeared. Silence returned. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then the largest organism transmitted a final message. Asterisk asterisk, we remember dot asterisk asterisk. Vael looked at Mara. That's it? Mara shook her head. Another message appeared. Asterisk asterisk, we remember you sharing dot asterisk asterisk. Then. Asterisk asterisk, we remember you learning dot asterisk asterisk. Then. Asterisk asterisk, we remember you changing dot asterisk asterisk. Mara's eyes widened. The final message appeared. Asterisk asterisk, we will not judge you by your worst memory dot asterisk asterisk. Vael exhaled. Then what will they do? Mara looked toward Earth. The living fleet began moving. Not toward the planet. Around it. They formed a vast protective circle around Earth. Every structure released a beam of blue light. Across the galaxy, dormant colonies began waking. Lion stared at the sensor display. Commander. What? The colonies are transmitting. To whom? To everyone. Vael looked at Mara. What are they saying? Mara listened to the translation. Her expression changed. They're telling the galaxy about humanity. Vael waited. Are they warning them? Mara shook her head. No. Then what? She smiled. They're inviting them. The galaxy watched as billions of living vessels surrounded Earth. For the first time in recorded history, an ancient civilization opened its borders. And humanity stood at the center of it. Not because humans had the strongest weapons. Not because humans had the largest fleet. Not because humans were the smartest species. Because humans had done something the galaxy had forgotten how to do. They had shared what they had. Even when they had very little. Mara looked down at the old lunchbox. The metal was scratched. The clips were loose. The blue sticker was almost completely worn away. It looked ordinary. Almost worthless. She ran her fingers across the lid. Then she noticed something. A final message had appeared beneath the faded sticker. She peeled it back. Underneath was her mother's handwriting. Only 4 words. Asterisk asterisk never eat alone. Mara dot asterisk asterisk. Mara laughed softly. Then she cried. Vael looked at her. Your mother left that? Yes. Did she know this would happen? Mara shook her head. No. She closed the lunchbox. She just knew something more important. What? Mara looked through the window at the living fleet surrounding Earth. That food means more than survival. Vael waited. Mara smiled. It means someone wanted you to live. For thousands of years, humanity had believed the lunchbox was dangerous because it contained a secret capable of changing the galaxy. They had been wrong. The dangerous secret was much simpler. Humanity had taught the oldest civilization in existence what it meant to share. And that lesson had survived longer than any weapon. Longer than any empire. Longer than any war. The galaxy had spent millennia searching for humanity's greatest weapon. They never found it. Because it had been sitting inside an old lunchbox all along. Not a bomb. Not a machine. Not a weapon. Just a meal. And a reason to share it.